Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam, total world victory of Hare Krishna. My name is Sitapati Das, and this is Bhagavad-gita As It Is, 251. Right on time, my phone rings, hey? Just give me 1 second. I will bring up the verse for you to look at while I take this call. Okay, I'm back. Here it is, Bhagavad-gita 251. Bhagavad-gita, the Song of God, as it is, by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Chapter 2, contents of the Gita summarized, whose traditional name is Sankhya Yoga. And if you are watching this live on the internet, feel free to tag a friend or 10 to spread the good news of the Bhagavad-gita. Even if you're watching it in the archives later on, let me share it onto my page so that more people can see this. Shravanam Kirtanam, this is the process in the age of Kali, share to feed. This is the process of self-realization. Sankirtan, the congregational chanting, hearing about chanting, particularly the holy name, but also anything in relation to the Supreme Person. Okay, here we go. Karma-jaṁ buddhi-yuktā phalam tyaktvā manīṣiṇaḥ janma-bandha-vinirmuktāḥ padam gacchanty anāmayam. Karma-jaṁ, because of fruitive activities. Buddhi-yuktā, being done in devotional service. He, certainly. Phalam, results. Tyaktvā, giving up. Manīṣiṇaḥ, devotees who are great sages. Janma-bandha, the bondage of birth and death. Vinirmuktāḥ, liberated souls. Padam, position. Gacchanty, reach. Anāmayam, without miseries. Translation. By His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and editor. The wise, engaged in devotional service, take refuge in the Lord and free themselves from the cycle of birth and death by renouncing the fruits of action in the material world. In this way, they can attain that state beyond all miseries. Purport. The liberated living entities seek that place where there are no material miseries. The Bhāgavatam says, Samashritya ye pada palava plavam. Samashritya ye pada palava plavam. Mahat padam punya yasho murare. Bhavam buddhir vatsa padam param padam. Param padam yad vipadam natesham. Bhagavatam, the beautiful Bhagavat, 10:14:58. For one who has accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of the cosmic manifestation and is famous as Mukunda, or the giver of mukti, the ocean of the material world is like the water contained in a calf's hoofprint. Padam, or the place where there are no material miseries, or Vaikuntha, is his goal, not the place where there is danger in every step of life. Owing to ignorance, one does not know that this material world is a miserable place, where there are dangers at every step. Out of ignorance only, less intelligent persons try to adjust to the situation by fruitive activities, thinking that resultant actions will make them happy. They do not know that no kind of material body anywhere within the universe can give life without miseries. The miseries of life, namely birth, death, old age, and diseases, are present everywhere within the material world. But one who understands his real constitutional position as the eternal servitor of the Lord, and thus knows the position of the personality of Godhead, engages himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Consequently, he becomes qualified to enter into the Vaikuntha planets, where there is neither material miserable life nor the influence of time and death. To know one's constitutional position means to know also the sublime position of the Lord. One who wrongly thinks that the living entity's position and the Lord's position are on the same level is to be understood to be in darkness and therefore unable to engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord. He becomes a Lord himself, small l, and thus paves the way for the repetition of birth and death. But one who, understanding that his position is to serve, transfers himself to the service of the Lord, at once becomes eligible for Vaikuntha Loka. Service for the cause of the Lord is called karma-yoga or buddhi-yoga, in plain words, devotional service to the Lord. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Personally, I would have put a comma here after the consequently. Let's see if Jayadvaita Swami did that. Let's go down and no. Consequently, nope, no comma. Okay. In fact, took out a comma. The translation. Original. The wise, engaged in devotional service, take refuge in the Lord. Change to, by thus engaging in devotional service to the Lord, great sages or devotees free themselves from the results, from the cycle of birth and death, from the results of work in the material world. In this way, they become free from cycle of birth and death and attain the state beyond all miseries by going back to Godhead. Let us see how that is justified on the basis of, well, that's interesting. Oh, yeah, okay, there's the reference there, the Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam says, yeah, I mean, there was no need to put that in there. But let's have a look at Srila Prabhupada's. Thus by being engaged in devotional service. By thus engaging in devotional service, thus by being engaged in devotional service to the Lord, great sages or devotees are able to get free from the resultant actions of work in the material world. Resultant actions of work in the material world, and thus become free from the cycle of birth and death. Then, full stop, this where they become free from the cycle of birth and death. Same sentence, and attain the state beyond all miseries by going back to Godhead, and go back to Godhead where there are no more miseries. Okay, so second edition edit takes it closer to Srila Prabhupada's original manuscript. However, it wasn't wrong. Okay, the living entities seek that place, belong to that place where there are no miseries. Living entities seek that place. For the liberated living entities, the place where there is no material miseries is just the position. For the liberated living entities, the place where there are no material miseries is just the position. So the living entities, the liberated living entities, seek that place. The liberated living entities belong to that place. Only for the liberated, for the liberated living entities, the place where there is no material miseries is just the position. Yeah, belong to is closer to the manuscript than to seek. However, it doesn't say that it's a place. It says it's a position. It's a difference between that place and a position. That says place. For liberated living entities, the place where there is no material miseries, place, the place. Why did I say position? The place where there is just the position. Okay, I see the place and the position. Yeah. Contained in a calf's hoof print. Contained in a calf's footprint. Okay. In a hole impressed by the hoofs of a calf. Okay, thinking that the resultant actions. Thinking that resultant try to adjust out of ignorance only, less intelligent people try to adjust to the situation by fruitive activities. Thinking that resultant actions will make them happy. Out of ignorance only, less intelligent persons try to adjust to the situation by fruitive activities, thinking that the resultant actions will make them happy. One who thinks wrongly, darkness. Where is that in the manuscript? Oh, at the top. Oh, by ignorance only. Out of ignorance only, less intelligent persons try to adjust the situation by fruitive activities, thinking that the resultant action will make him happy. Make them happy. Thinking that the resultant actions will make them happy. I would have kept the changes to the absolute minimum to this book. I wouldn't have done a second round of editing the way it's been done. Okay, but let us go to the verse itself. The wise, engaged in devotional service, take refuge in the Lord, free themselves from the cycle of birth and death. Karma-jaṁ, born. Yep. Buddhi-yuktā, hi phalam tyaktvā. Manīṣiṇaḥ, great sages. Gacchanty, they reach anāmayam. Because of fruitive activities. Karma-jaṁ goes with phalam. Great sages or devotees. Devotees who are great sages. Great sages or devotees, free from the bondage of birth and death, liberated souls, padam gacchanti, reach anāmayam. Okay, let's dive into the Sanskrit because I love to do this. Karma-jaṁ buddhi-yuktā, karma-jaṁ, because of fruitive activities. According to work, born, janma. Karma-jaṁ buddhi-yuktā, hi phalam tyaktvā. Karma-jaṁ buddhi-yuktā, certainly. Phalam tyaktvā manīṣiṇaḥ. Janma-bandha-vinirmuktāḥ. Janma-bandha-vinirmuktāḥ. Padam gacchanty anāmayam. Karma-jaṁ buddhi-yuktā, phalam tyaktvā manīṣiṇaḥ. Buddhi-yuktā, so manīṣiṇaḥ buddhi-yuktā, karma-jaṁ phalam tyaktvā. Manīṣiṇaḥ, the great sages or devotees, buddhi-yuktā, certainly with their in the process of devotional service, karma-jaṁ phalam tyaktvā, give up the fruits born of activities. Janma-bandha-vinirmuktāḥ. So janma-bandha, the bondage of birth, vinirmuktāḥ, they get the vinirmuktāḥ. They are being released, being released, padam, position, like a place where you put your feet, standing. Gacchanty, anāmayam, all auspicious, without miseries. Karma-jaṁ buddhi-yuktā phalam tyaktvā manīṣiṇaḥ janma-bandha-vinirmuktāḥ padam gacchanti anāmayam. So manīṣiṇaḥ buddhi-yuktā karma-jaṁ phalam tyaktvā. I wonder if you could have done it like that. Manīṣiṇaḥ buddhi-yuktā karma-jaṁ phalam tyaktvā. Karma-jaṁ phalam tyaktvā. Janma-bandha-vinirmuktāḥ. So manīṣiṇaḥ buddhi-yuktā phalam karma-jaṁ tyaktvā phalam, no, but the karma-jaṁ buddhi-yuktā phalam tyaktvā manīṣiṇaḥ janma-bandha-vinirmuktāḥ padam gacchanti anāmayam. So that the second and the fourth lines both start with a P. Have a look at the Sanskrit for the verse before. Karma-jaṁ buddhi-yuktā phalam tyaktvā manīṣiṇaḥ janma-bandha-vinirmuktāḥ padam gacchanti anāmayam. Karma-jaṁ buddhi-yuktā, certainly the born from activity through devotional service, being done in acceptance, accompanied, being united, bestowed, combined through the intelligence. Hi phalam tyaktvā manīṣiṇaḥ. So by intelligently engaging through the linking process of the intelligence, certainly giving up the fruits or the fruits of born from action. So that's tyaktvā phalam karma-jaṁ, giving up the fruits born from action. Manīṣiṇaḥ, the great sages or devotees. Janma-bandha-vinirmuktāḥ, being released from the bondage of birth and death, janma, the bondage of birth, rebirth. Padam gacchanti anāmayam, they attain that position that is without miseries. Is it a place? Is it a position? Padam, stand. Position, a place. Jai Shri Krishna. Gita Patel, Hare Krishna. Karma-jaṁ buddhi-yuktā phalam tyaktvā manīṣiṇaḥ janma-bandha-vinirmuktāḥ padam gacchanti anāmayam. Karma-jaṁ buddhi-yuktā phalam tyaktvā manīṣiṇaḥ janma-bandha-vinirmuktāḥ padam gacchanti anāmayam. Karma-jaṁ buddhi-yuktā phalam tyaktvā manīṣiṇaḥ janma-bandha-vinirmuktāḥ padam gacchanti anāmayam. These great sages or devotees engaged in devotional service give up the results of the activities that they perform. And in this way, they become free from the bondage of birth, and they attain the position without miseries. So, Srila Prabhupada here in his translation has added this Bhaktivedanta purport to the translation of taking refuge by being engaged in devotional service to the Lord. It doesn't say taking refuge. By being engaged in the service of the Lord. In the second edition, it went to by thus engaging in devotional service to the Lord. Engaged in devotional service. Take refuge in the Lord. Which I think Hayagriva has derived from this Bhagavatam verse and Srila Prabhupada's purport on it, his translation of it here. Accepting the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, the shelter, so taking refuge. Taking refuge, is that in here? No. Yeah, okay. So the engagement in devotional service is being done in devotional service is buddhi-yuktā. Srila Prabhupada has translated it that way. Being done in devotional service. So this is a criticism that people make of the Bhaktivedanta purports and translations, in that, well, he translates everything as devotional service. It says buddhi yoga, it's not devotional service, but what does buddhi yoga actually mean? Yeah. Buddhi-yuktā. What does that mean? Intelligently linking, giving up the, is it just a mental kind of concoction? Srila Prabhupada has derived the implication of it in his purport. Engaging in devotional service to the Lord. It's progressive purification. Understanding that one is not the doer. First of all, I'm not the beneficiary of the action. And then later understanding neither am I the doer of the action. Prakriti kriyamana ni gunai karma ni sarvashaha ahankara vimurhatma kartaham iti manyate. That the spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the modes of material nature. Let's go with my new first edition here. Let's see if it has a Sanskrit index at the back. Does it have a Sanskrit index? It does. Epic. So I know that verse, but I don't know where it is. But I can't find it. Prakriti kriyamanani 327. So you see at the back of the book, it has a Sanskrit index, which allows me to look up index of Sanskrit verses. So I can look it up by knowing the Sanskrit. 327. The spirit soul, bewildered by false ignorance, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. That's how I remember it, because I've memorized the second edition. So here it says, the bewildered spirit soul, under the influence of the three modes of material nature, thinks himself to be the doer of activities which are in actuality carried out by nature. So the beginning phase is to understand that one is not the beneficiary of the activities. And this is in the, let's pull it up, the Ishopanishad, one of the final mantras in Ishopanishad, Sri Ishopanishad. Here, 17. Vayur anilam amritam ateitam basmantam shariram omkrato smarakritam smara. Let this temporary body be burnt to ashes, and let the air of life be merged with the totality of air. Now, O my Lord, please remember all my sacrifices, and because you are the ultimate beneficiary, please remember all that I have done for you. So, looking at Bhagavad-gita 3:27, this prayer is by someone who does identify themselves as the doer. But that's okay. This is one level of development of self-realization, of understanding the self. Bhagavad-gita 3:27 speaks of another level that, one realizes that one is not even the doer. But first, that the Lord is the beneficiary of the activities. So dedicating the fruits of one's activities to the Lord, which might even look like something as simple as giving some percentage of one's income to the service of the Lord, whether it's like through sponsoring distribution of sacred food that's been offered to the Lord, or there's prasadam, sponsoring something at the temple, putting on some festival, creating some program or project. And in this way, one gradually becomes purified from the misconception that I am the enjoyer, Ishvaro hamaham bhogi. I'm the enjoyer, I'm the Lord, I am the body, I am the doer. And one eventually rises to understanding through realization, pratyaksha vagamam dharmyam, that jivera swarupoi krishnera nityadasa, that I am the servant of the Lord. So this is Bhagavad-gita 2:51, describing, bring this one here, that the wise engaged in devotional service take refuge in the Lord and free themselves from the cycle of birth and death by renouncing the fruits of action in the material world. In this way, they can attain that state beyond miseries. Karma-jaṁ buddhi-yuktā phalam tyaktvā manīṣiṇaḥ janma-bandha-vinirmuktāḥ padam gacchanty anāmayam param vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Total world victory of Hare Krishna. Thanks for tuning in.